Facebook page. So don't come down on me. Come down on Christie. She gave me the idea of retard and pussy and Peter. We talked about pussy. We talked about Peter. So it's Christie's fault. Send her the emails, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
I'm such a bad
Christie,
influence.
okay. We're bad. You're bad, Christie. You're so bad on me. I'm saying pussy and dick and, oh, my God. You're nasty, Christie.
Yeah, that's right. I push the boundaries, that's for sure. You know what, though? It's funny because if if I would have, like, if I'd have met me today, I would be so freaking offended and, like, but you know what, I'm free, what can I say? I'm not, and I can thank the trauma for that. Like, you get beat up so many times, you just kind of quit caring, and so I realized that my crazy was my strong trait instead of trying to hide it, you know? So, things are working out a lot better, like, living it.
Gotta love you. Gotta love you. Gotta love you. And we do. We love you.
But, okay, so that's exactly what healing is all about, though. Like, I have a series on self-love and detachment, you know, blame versus responsibility, addiction to pain, things like that, which I've lived. Like, a lot of people that meet me today, they're like, oh, you're so balanced and you're blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, I wasn't always this way, you know, like I had to work for it. And because I grew up in the same, you know, kind of whatever dysfunctional family in middle America, like everyone else did, or city kind of outskirts, whatever. And, you know, maybe my life, it's a little extreme in some places, so I'm not going to say it's like everybody, but the same type of programming, you know. Military's good, rah, 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 we're heroes, we're the smartest and greatest country, we're, you know, all of those things, and we need politicians to save us, and, you know, so it's been a process through learning not to give my power away. But, yeah, so all of these repressions and shames that we're taught in society, and let's get real, we are totally taught to hate ourselves. And, you know, so I grew up in Southern California. I'm a 6-foot blonde. Of course, the only thing I'm good for is looking good, right? So that kind of reluctantly became my life because that's what I was, you know, kind of, that's all I knew. So, you know, getting to the self-hate thing, I mean, it was probably a little extreme. You know, I was a model and, you know, child actor and went to, you know, performance school, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So I was basically on stage from the time I was 2 years old until I, you know, ran away. And which was later, you know, I graduated and didn't really run away from LA and things like that till my early 20s. But, I mean, we're taught, like, you know, I'll speak to women here because I'm a woman and I can relate, and I definitely sympathize with what men go through in the same, but I did a video called the Hell We Go Through in the Name of Beauty. And I remember all of those hours, I would look in the mirror just thinking, oh my God, this hair is out of place, my eyebrows suck, my cheeks suck, my nose is crooked, my lips are, you know, like everything is totally wrong. And I mean, I guess it's okay because there's billions of products they can sell me to fix me. And what were those ones, the derma, I can't even remember, the ones that cover your bruises or your scars, and you know, our hair sucks, so we need these chemicals. Our natural body, our pheromones stink, so of course we need, you know, more chemicals for that. And, you know, God's fucked up, so of course we need to shave our hair and cut our hair and, you know, do all of these alterations, bras and other torture devices. And, you know, so I know it seems like I might be getting off topic here, but I'm getting to the core of our self-hatred and shame and traumas that we're completely ignoring because it's just the way it is. Like, I literally was raised in a family where women and children were to be seen and not heard. We're just supposed to be pretty little dress-up dolls and toys and, you know, do what you're told. And you would be rewarded. Well, you know, I was definitely treated like a princess many times in my life. But what is the cost? So obviously, later in my life, you know, I started thinking about, wow, I used to spend hours in the mirror dealing with my hair or my eyelashes, and if one was out of place, my entire day would be ruined. What would happen if I spent half that time? Oh, and then the gym hours. Let's not forget that. I used to drive money to pay. I used to drive a car to pay money to walk inside a building to go work out. And then I realized that if I would have just walked to this building, I never would have had to pay money to walk inside, right? So, you know, I don't know what happened that caused me to start, like, thinking like that. But, yeah, so I started investing that time in myself and then realizing how deep the shame and trauma, unhealed traumas go. So what I'm getting at here is nothing happens physically without an energetic root. There's cause and effect to everything. So when we are able to first recognize that we have brought up in a world of blame and shame and self-hatred, when we can learn to embrace ourselves exactly as we are, like it blows my mind when I'm out in nature. And here's the problem. People aren't out in nature. So they're missing that teacher. But, you know, most humans in the regular world, just like you know, we were discussing earlier about picking people while they're down, homeless people, well, guess what? That's human nature. Homeless people or non-homeless people are not immune to that same type of blame, shame, hatred, rejection, punishment, you know, society of punishment. That's what it is. You always hear when you're doing something wrong according to someone else. But we don't go around like praising people like, hey, good job. No, you crossed a double yellow line. We're going to give you a $200 ticket and raise your insurance for the next 5 years. Yeah. And we're the same with people, right? Like normal people, like, oh my God, how could she wear that? Or, oh my God, look at his plumber pants. Or, oh my God, he's so fat. Or she's so skinny. Or, you know, all of these dumb little insignificant things, but they're not doing that in nature. You don't see any dogs looking at another dog saying you're too fat, or a freaking, you know, a minnow looking at a dolphin and telling him that, or vice versa, the shark looking at the seahorse and saying you're way too skinny. Like, no one else in nature is trying to change anyone else. They keep on giving and living the light and flowing. We're the only species on the planet that has completely stunted our growth. How? Blame, shame, fear. So the key, the real key to healing is getting inside and getting real with all of that first. Not being ashamed of being human and having feelings. Not being ashamed of being angry. Because, look, it's so funny to me. Like, let's say your friend just came over and burnt your house down and raped you or this and that. So a normal human emotion would be like betrayal, shock, fear, anger, grief, you know, all of these things. But in this society, we run away from grieving people. Oh, no, don't be angry. Just forgive. You know, we like force it out of them. And then people are convinced that they need pills because they actually felt angry and sad and depressed because something traumatic actually happened. Oh, my God. We have had our emotions, our humanity beat out of us. Okay? And like, here's an example. that we used to use on the old Soul Journeys radio show, and we're talking about colors, and you mentioned chakras, and I had no idea we were going to talk about that. But since you did, here's an example. How do you get a man to go to war? You call him a what? A yellow belly coward. You think that's a coincidence that that's the color of that chakra, your solar plexus, right? And when men are ridiculed and shamed and, oh, chicken, or, oh, you yellow-bellied coward, or whatever, then of course you're going to step up and be like, well, I'll show you. You know what I mean? And it's just that, yeah, so we have been taught to put all that away and focus on symptoms. And that's why people are trained to say, oh, I have a headache, what can I take? Oh, I have whatever. You pick the disease, XYZ, whatever it is. But since I said the word dis-ease, I want to explain to you how simple it really is, and give you a good resource while we're at it. So Raymond Francis, he's a MIT graduate, and BeyondHealth.com is his website. He used to be a regular guest on my show. And interviews are still out there, by the way, if you want to hear him. But he wrote a book called Never Be Sick Again. It's $15, dude. Like, everybody should have it. And then another one, Never Be Fat Again. And I don't know all the rest, whatever. I'm going to tell you about this book and how simple disease, and understanding it is as far as, physically healthy. So, I mean, if you just take the word dis-ease, when you feel this pain or have this symptom, the proper way, if you want real healing, is to, I mentioned stop, assess the situation, and ask, what am I not at ease with? So it's not always health-related, right, or physical health-related. Sometimes it's a repressed childhood trauma or a repressed anger because you were shamed and locked in a closet and you weren't allowed to cry, or you weren't allowed to be mad that you were gang raped by your best friend, or you weren't allowed to be hurt that your dog was murdered, or, whatever. All of those things. So we hide that away, we tuck it away. Well, guess what? Our cells remember that, our DNA remembers that, and not only our DNA remembering our trauma, it's remembering all the trauma of our ancestors that also most likely did not do the unhealed trauma. So for those of you like Bible-based, like believe that, we inherit the sins of our father or this and that, that's really what that means. That's the unhealed trauma that's being passed down, carried through in the DNA. So what we are actually inheriting are habits, emotional coping mechanisms, or lack thereof. So, okay. Getting back to Raymond Francis's book, Never Be Sick Again, Disease, and how easy it is if you want to understand it on, basics for human body. So all disease has the same cause and the same cure. So you can only be sick when your immune system is down, basically. And how does that happen? Well, one, by not getting enough nutrition, or two, by having too many toxins. Or, of course, both, but so it's basically that. If you're sick, or, cancer or whatever, you're suffering something, well, that's what's going on. So when you look at it that way and you realize, well, hey, I guess I better think about adjusting my nutrition till they outweigh my toxins, right? So you take less toxins, whatever they are for you in your lifestyle. And again, they're not all physical. Like, we can sit and talk and blame vaccines and blame chemtrails and blame acid rain or blame, everything, dirty soil and drugged water and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's happening. But guess what? Some of us are still healing. Why? So I'm going to keep getting closer to that why here tonight. We are getting there. So, again, when you're assessing your situations and the toxins you're ingesting, what is your environment like? Are you in a job you hate? Are you in an abusive relationship? Are you being gaslighted? Are you being controlled? Are you being like, so a lot of these things, unfortunately, due to our society, we grow up thinking it's like normal, right? So we don't even really see it for what it really is until after we've already been diagnosed, say, with fibromyalgia and depression, right? So then now we're a victim. We have this invisible disease we're convinced of. So, of course, we stay in that toxic environment because, well, I'm sick and I need help now and right? And I did a video about this, by the way, and it's called Can We Heal? Can We Really Heal with a Safety Net? And I pose the question and make the point that, well, I'll speak for myself. Of everyone I know in my life that has a safety net, say it's a trust fund, a loving extended family, doctors, insurance, money, everything. They don't heal. They hold on to their diseases. They keep them. People ask me why I heal all the time, and that's why, because I had no choice. I had no one to wipe my ass, so I had to learn to wipe my own ass. I had no one that cared to feed me, so I had to feed me. I had I had to heal. No doctor would heal me. They would just keep drugging me and making me sicker. So I had to do it. So this whole safety net thing and having, I'm sorry, these, wonderful supportive environments, there might be a little enabling going on and making people believe that they have things that don't even actually really exist when they're actually totally normal human processes. But once we go and take those pills, well, game over, because then we have to deal with a whole nother set of symptoms that stem from that. So why didn't I heal when I went down to the Everglades and got bit head to toe from the mosquitoes and then subsequently the brown recluse on the back of my neck? Why is it that everything I knew with essential oils and applied, thousands of people, read the testimonials on my site. They're not bullshit. They're real people. And they haven't even been updated. So why did all of that stuff I did before not work when I needed it? And why, when I was without all of that, was I finally able to heal? Yep, it's not physical. It's not what we are being taught in society. So when we start looking at the root, the cause, that's when we can start healing. And I'm here to tell you right now, 100% without a doubt, and I'll tell you an example that I experienced again 3 weeks ago just to, share with you and really try to drive this point home. When I was in abusive or soul-sucking situations, and even if they weren't like overtly, hi, I'm out to get you type things, maybe they just weren't right for me. My body would warn me with, say, anxiety or rashes or even weakness, like literally, like limping and things like that. But, I didn't know what I knew now. So I went the medical route and believed in all these diseases and this and that, all these so-called incurable diseases. But look at me now. I mean, they're clearly cured. I'm working over 50 hours a week on my feet. And so what I'm getting at here, the difference was I finally went to those dark places that everyone avoids. Some people call it the dark night of the soul. There's all sorts of names, and I'm not really into names and labels because who am I to define anyone else's individual experience? You call it anything you want. And that's not even actually what I'm calling, I'll call it a transformation. But It was when I got to see the effects of being around these situations, and I was sick, I was weak, I was limpy, and I had blood dripping out of my ears. When I was away from those situations and in nature, those problems didn't exist. When I was in my element and creating and doing what I love to do and breathing fresh air, those problems did not exist. Boom, bingo, key to autoimmune disease. 3 weeks ago at work, I'm going to share this with you here, and I don't know if I should be talking about work stuff publicly, but in general. So I haven't had any strokes or autoimmune flare-ups or anything for a very long time. And, of course, yeah, I'm healed, I'm great, I found the key to it, blah, 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 which is true. But then I found myself in a controlling, destructive, really abusive work environment. And I spoke up about it a while back. I'm like, this needs to stop now. We had a meeting, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It, kind of curbed for a minute, but then it just got worse. And so it got to the point where, well, I ended up having a mini stroke, no panic, but a mini stroke at work. The next day, we had the blow up, the confrontation. The following day, autoimmune flare-up, and I couldn't freaking walk. I was literally crawling in tears. Again, nothing that I did, not my cannabis paste, not the creams, not the essential oils. I'm talking like straight up freaking wintergreen and blue cypress, and even cinnamon, which would sting the heck out. I didn't even feel it. It felt like water. Okay? Like all the herbs, nothing in the world did anything to curb that. Thankfully, the problem took care of itself. It's no longer an issue there. And all of a sudden, I'm walking, running in circles again. That's not a coincidence. So if anyone is listening tonight and you have been diagnosed with any autoimmune or any so-called mental health issue, I would ask you to explore first with yourself or a safe place where your deepest pains that you've been taught to avoid come from. And go back there. Go back there and feel that rage that you are not allowed to feel. Cry those tears that you harbored in your lungs. Okay, so here, speaking of body and this and that, lungs are grief. People with suppressed crying, grief, this and that, that's why we all have lung issues, and that's why we smoke. Okay? It's not random, all right? And even those of us that don't smoke chemicals because we don't like to support the corporations and their 4,000, poisons in that once beautiful natural medicine that used to cure cancer, that's why we smoke. Trauma, grief, okay? Once you know that, and the body, the map of your body, your kidney, if you're having kidney issues, well, ask yourself, what am I so afraid of? Liver issues, the anger, whatever. We're not going to go through every little body part. I'm just trying to drop clues and, tell people where they can look in their own life, anxiety, depression, bipolar. Guess what? They aren't diseases. And I have videos about all of them. I have videos talking about the actual cause and cure. And then I have multiple videos and shows listing like literally dozens or more, hundreds of herbs and essential oils and methods and things that you can do. It's all free. It's on YouTube, Christie, Aphrodite. But yeah, so I just really, I want to express the number one for people who really want to heal whatever it is, your asthma, your cancer, your gangrene, your lupus, your depression, whatever it is. First of all, I feel like I want to talk about depression. And, I just hate kind of repeating myself because I've probably said these things in videos already, but deep, pressed what? What have you pressed so deep that you need a deep rest to feel and heal? Because without that feeling, there is no healing. Period. That's why, you can have the best doctors and you can go get 7 hearts. What's his name? Rockefeller. 7 hearts. And they're all going to fail. Why? Because you're not doing the work. You can go get your dialysis. You can go take your pills, this and that. But if the pills worked, you wouldn't actually need them, right? So, Hippocrates, said, make your food, let thy food be thy medicine, your medicine be thy food. It really is that simple to get yourself in balance. And you know what? Yeah, we live in a poisoned world. But guess what? The power of your mind, the power of your heart is so much freaking stronger than any of that. And when you do learn self-love, and when you do go to those dark places and feel them and get past that shame and blame and learn to embrace your crazy, forgive yourself, forgive everyone else, realize we're all on a path, individual path. We're students and teachers of one another, and you never even actually made a mistake, okay? People shamed you because they didn't know, not because there's something wrong with you. So now that you know there's nothing wrong with you, you can start embracing all aspects of yourself, like as we pointed out earlier, every other species in Mother Nature does. They keep on loving. They keep on giving, even when the tornado comes and wipes them out, or even when a logger comes and chops them down. They're still loving. They're still giving. They're still growing. They're still creating. We are nature. Why aren't we doing the same? Why are we so quick to give our power away? And then we blame the people that we gave our power to, right? Like it cracks me up when, I've had a lot of medical trauma. So, of course, I'm not going to go back to doctors. Like, duh. And then other people, they have medical trauma. They lose organs. They, this and that. But they still go back to the same people that screwed them up. Or people that are freaking cocktails, drug cocktails, 14 different pills, 21 different pills or more. And then they still keep going back to the same people, even though we're already brain damaged thanks to what they did. Like it doesn't make any sense. So when you learn to love yourself, you can begin to take your power back. And many of you are already on that path of taking your power back. You're seeing through the illusions in politics. You're seeing through the illusions in religion, all the people that are there to, protect us, this and that. Well, guess what? Extend that to the medical field. It's the same thing, right? So, I mean, when we stop giving our power away, like I did, like example, when I talked about moving out to the country and homeschooling my children, like after a while, I realized I couldn't get mad at the school for teaching my children garbage. It was me not taking care of my responsibility to educate my children. And on that note, I might as well throw in there, I did pay dearly for that. And I was charged with felony educational neglect and felony medical neglect for homeschooling my children and not doing doctors and drugs. But we were healthy and sick, we weren't sick, we didn't need them, but the state thought that we did. I stood up for what I believed in. I have no family today because of it. But it was all worth it because I could have given away my soul. I remember one time the judge said, your free speech is going to cost you your family. They told me to take my websites down. I had recordings of them in courts and everything, and I'm just like, no, because I already knew the fix was in. They weren't there for my children. They were there for retaliation because I exposed sex trafficking rings. And not, like when people say that, people say they exposed a sex trafficking ring because they read a blog somewhere and then they posted it on Facebook. I'm not talking that. When I say I exposed a sex trafficking ring, I actually physically went down there with the traffickers, talked with them, had them take me to the place where it's all on video again, my channel, Christie Aphrodite. Just, go to my channel and then you could put sex trafficking and that'll come up. It's all on the gang stalking playlist too. But yeah, so, I paid for what I did as far as system stuff, but I can sleep at night. I can live with myself. I know that I stood up when no one else did. I know that I lived my soul, and I have learned a lot. And through all of that trauma and drama and karma, I found the key to healing, and that is starting with yourself. Instead of worrying about what everyone else is doing, what are you doing? Instead of investing your energy and everything outside yourself, invest it into yourself. And I swear to you, it literally is that easy. I will also make you this other promise. If somebody actually watched all the videos on my channel, and I don't mean all, you can skip the animal videos and skip the gang stalking ones, but short of that, anyone who watched all the rest of the videos, the health-related videos, you would be equipped to handle every single thing for you and your family the rest of your life. And that's why my coaching sessions are different than other people. Like, other people want you to come back. I don't. Like, if you want to come back to me, I feel like I failed, because I want you to have everything you need to take care of yourself. We don't need to be dependent on anyone anymore. And truthfully, we're not actually really learning anything. We're remembering things that our soul already knows, But most of the things I teach, am I really teaching? No, I'm just reminding people who have forgotten. So, dude, I think that was a super big, long run-on sentence. So I'll chill for a sec.
Yeah, well, Christie, we're starting to push on the closing of the show. I want to thank you profusely for telling us your story and such, and for giving us quite a bit to look at and consider and apply. I do thank you for that very tremendously.
Thank you.
You want to put out a little bit on our advertising?
No, I just want to thank her right now. And, Christy, thanks a lot for coming on. I didn't know you and I would be so compatible in the areas that we're compatible in, that kind of synergistic. I'm glad John found you and brought you on. Briefly, how did you two meet?
Facebook.
We've been friends on Facebook for a couple of years now.
Was it through my homeless?
That's good.
I did homeless radio for a while. Was it through homeless radio, or was it through my old shows or videos?
I think
random?
I think, I cannot say for sure, because honestly, it could have been either your YouTube or your Facebook, but I found you on both of them, and I don't know which one came first. I don't remember. It was a couple of years ago. It didn't matter. And, of course, we've interacted a little bit and shared a few different conversations over time, and liked a few of each other's posts and shared a few of each other's posts. So that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter. I'm one of these individuals that believe the universe puts people together.
Yeah, I love the show, and I'm so glad.
No disagreement there.
Yeah, like you tagged me in a post maybe like a month ago, and I saw your topics, and I tuned in for, I have a ridiculous work schedule, so I'm not, unfortunately able to listen to everything. But I clicked in and I saw your talk, and I'm like, oh my God, well, that's really cool. That sounds like one of my old shows. And then, I had no idea that we were so compatible either, because we just never had those questions. And yeah, when I got here, I just felt right at home. It's really awesome to see people waking up.
You wouldn't like me You wouldn't like me at all if you heard all of my shows, because I'm a real hard ass. I'm really a nasty boy. But
well, you already heard me talk about pussies and suckers.
yeah, I guess so. We're kind of alike. We're kind of alike in a lot of ways. And you're very outspoken. I can tell. I can tell you're like me. You're very, very outspoken. You can't hold it in. You have to get it out. I can definitely tell that by listening to you on the show tonight, which is a good thing.
I'm going to send you a video, and it was a news clip after they had set me up. I know we didn't really get into that story, but yeah, I'll just say there's a reason they wanted me to shut up, and there's a reason that okay, so Anna Nicole Smith, everybody remembers when she died.
Oh, yeah.
All over the news channel. She was the #1 news story. I was the #2 news story, but the exact opposite. I'm this big, horrible racist. You know, I exposed that sex trafficking ring, but they turned it into me being a racist, harassing innocent Mexicans. Yeah, and then raided my house.
Oh, I see.
So I was slandered literally on every single channel, news media. And then, of course, all of the most of the alternative media, which that's military controlled as well, they joined in on the slander and the stalking and the setups, and it's been interesting, but it's all in the videos, and I'm super thankful to be here talking with you guys because you're awesome, and I just love what you're doing.
I want John to get you back on in a couple of weeks. I want to do a special show on relationships.
Oh.
Is that cool with you?
That'd be killer. I love that. Definitely.
I want to do a show about love and sex and marriage, and I want to do a show about young people getting involved too quickly together, and I want to do a show about how immaturity affects a relationship and how a lack of wisdom affects a relationship and how a lack of knowledge and logic and reason affects a relationship. And I want to talk about the economic situation, socioeconomic and demographic situation with relationships. I want to go pretty deep into the sociology of relationships. And I'd like to have you on when we do that show.
Thank you. I love that. And I don't know if it's something I should be proud of, but I'm probably an expert at dysfunctional relationships. So I and how I did.
Yeah. Well, I am too. I am too. Every relationship that ever failed in my life was my fault. So I've got you beat on everything. Every relationship I've ever had, it was my fucking fault
she said.
that it failed.
That's what she said, right?
Hey, Christie, quick question. How many kids do you got?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
How many kids? Yeah, do you have?
I have 2 children.
How many kids do you have?
2.
How old are they now?
Yeah.
One just turned 21 a few days ago, and then the other will be 20 coming up, soon.
Okay. Do you interact with them at all, or not really?
Not since my mother's death. That was my birthday. And, things were strained, obviously, but we did visit and talk and, things I thought were getting there. They were asking me for advice again. And, Mom, remember that? Send me a show on psychic vampires or what was that recipe? And it was, I thought we were going places, but probably the trauma, the death of my mother and things, it just got to the point where I had to love myself and set boundaries, and I decided I'm not chasing anymore. If people love me, they know where I am. But, part of self-love is if somebody doesn't love you back, don't chase them. You don't. Why would anyone want to be where they're not wanted? And I love them and I respect their path. So if they choose to want to hate me and explore the world on their own right now, that's great. So I
My
trust
kids,
them.
my kids were using me as a piggy bank, and I literally got fed up with it. I got sick of it, and I mean they were using me as an ATM machine, and it was sucking me dry. I couldn't take it anymore, and they were using my grandkids against me. They're 3,000 miles away, and it's like, well, Daddy, if you don't give us money, you can't see the grandkids anymore. We'll just stop Skyping.
Yeah.
That's extortion. I mean, break. Jesus Christ.
I understand.
And these are my kids. They're pretty dastardly, really. They're pretty. What's the word, John? It's dastardly. It's
devious, cunning,
devious. Yeah, very devious, very dangerously devious. And there's a lot of kids like that,
I'll just
and
say this.
it's just the way the world works.
Yeah, they all fell for the money and the comfort.
I had to heal myself. I had to heal myself too, Christy. I had to heal myself. I couldn't keep doing it. I had to say no. Yeah. I had to say stop now. I don't care what you do to me. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care. Just stop.
Yeah. That's what it takes. It's amazing how you get away from whatever the toxic situation is in your life, and your health magically gets better. By the way, I have a video called The Number One Detox Plan, and that's what it's all about. So, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much. And the relationship topic is super important. So I'd be honored to come back.
John's an associate producer, and he's casting agent for Alternative Public Radio International. Ladies and gentlemen, Blog Talk Radio, John LaCrone and Tyler Davenport, yours truly, on with Christie, Aphrodite, Shamaka, Fro tonight, and we've talked about a lot of wonderful things. I hope you all have enjoyed the show. We're so happy to be back on the main station, the Superstation. I'm so happy. It's unbelievable. I'm ecstatic to be back on the Superstation. Thank you all very much. What, producer? Okay, thank you. I have to do special procedures now, John. You and I have to do special procedures now. It's a Superstation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. John and I will see you. And Christy will be back on the team with us as soon as John decides that that's going to happen. He will let me know. And I just thank all of you from around the world for tuning in tonight. John and I will be back with you tomorrow night. Really, we'll be back tomorrow night.
We got the Wednesday night roundtable.
Yeah, so we'll see you all. We love you very much out there, and may the force be with you all. Christy, Aphrodite, Shamaka, Fro, thank you for coming on. We'll see y'all later.
Thank you all.
Good night,
Bye-bye. Good night, everybody. Good night, John Boy.
Thank you for using